A man dangles off the edge of a rooftop, suspended by a necktie. Holding the tie is Oldboy, who commands the man to listen to his story. The man stares up, confused and terrified. Dae-soo begins. The story rewinds to the year 1988. Oldboy is a Korean businessman with a wife and young daughter. On his daughter's 4th birthday, he is detained by the police for being drunk and disorderly. At the police station, he harasses others and insists on showing off a pair of angel wings he bought as a gift. His old friend, Ju-hwan, eventually comes to bail him out. While Ju-hwan is on the phone with Dae-soo's wife and daughter, Dae-soo disappears. He's been kidnapped by an unknown group. Dae-soo wakes up in what appears to be a private prison that looks like a small, windowless hotel room. He receives meals through a hatch in the door. Each time he tries to harm himself or needs to be subdued, gas is pumped into the room. His captors never speak to him. He has no idea why he has been imprisoned or by whom. One day, watching television, his only connection to the outside world, he learns his wife has been murdered. He is named as the prime suspect, and his daughter has been sent to foster care. Blood and other evidence were planted to frame him. He begins to lose his grip on reality. Desperate for answers, Dae-soo begins keeping a prison diary, listing the people he might have wronged in the past. But he cannot determine who could hate him enough to do this. After 5 years, he begins marking time by tattooing his arm and starts training by punching the walls. He toughens his body and focuses his mind. One day, he finds a metal chopstick in his food. He hides it and begins to dig a tunnel in the wall. He also trains every day and studies the news, waiting for a chance to escape. After 10 years, he is able to peek through the hole to the outside world. He believes he needs just one more month to finish. But that night, he is gassed again. A woman appears and hypnotizes him. When he wakes up, he finds himself on the rooftop of a tall building, suddenly free. He is wearing a new suit and carrying his prison diaries. He is disoriented by the daylight. Nearby, another man sits with his small dog, contemplating suicide. He tells Dae-soo, "Even though I'm no better than a beast, don't I have the right to live?" The man prepares to jump, but Dae-soo grabs his necktie, preventing the fall. Dae-soo begins to tell the man his story, starting at the beginning. The scene returns to the point where the film opened. After finishing his story, Dae-soo walks away, ignoring the suicidal man's plea to be heard in return. As Dae-soo exits the building, the man jumps and lands on a car behind him, killing himself and his dog. Dae-soo pauses, then smiles. In voiceover, he recalls a line from a poem, "Laugh and the world laughs with you. Weep and you weep alone." This becomes a recurring mantra for him. Now free but without direction, Dae-soo wanders through the city. When a group of thugs attempts to attack him, he fights them off using the combat skills he developed in captivity. Later, Dae-soo stands watching fish in an aquarium when a homeless man approaches. The man hands him a wallet full of cash and a cell phone. Soon after, Dae-soo visits a sushi bar where he meets a woman named Midu. He recognizes her from a cooking show he watched while in prison. She says he looks familiar too. Dae-soo receives a call on the cell phone. The voice on the line claims to be his captor and says it was all part of an experiment. He dares Dae-soo to find him and learn why he was imprisoned. He leaves a cryptic clue. A grain of sand and a rock both sink in water with the same speed. Dae-soo asks Midu for something alive to eat. She serves him a live octopus, which he consumes whole. Moments later, he collapses from a high fever. Midu, shocked and confused, decides to take care of him. At Midu's apartment, Dae-soo tries to force himself on her, but she resists. He stops and apologizes. Midu tells him she understands he acted out of desperation and says she will let him make love to her when she is ready. Over the next few days, Midu investigates Dae-soo's daughter's whereabouts. She learns that the girl was adopted by a Swedish couple. Dae-soo decides not to contact her for now. When they return home, Dae-soo discovers Midu has been chatting online with the same person who called earlier. Dae-soo becomes suspicious and leaves. Trying to identify his prison, Dae-soo remembers the taste of the dumplings he was fed for 15 years. He visits every Chinese restaurant with the name Blue Dragon, eventually finding one with the exact same dumplings. He follows the delivery boy and discovers the private prison. Inside, he captures the manager, Mr. Park, and tortures him by pulling out one tooth for each year of imprisonment. Mr. Park reveals that the facility rents rooms to clients who want people locked away. Dae-soo listens to a tape labeled with his name. It confirms his captor ordered the imprisonment and instructed which drugs to administer. The only explanation given, Dae-soo talks too much. As he tries to leave, Dae-soo is attacked by the guards, but fights them off using only his fists and a claw hammer. He is stabbed in the back, but survives. A man helps him into a taxi and tells the driver to take him to Midu's address. The man is revealed to be his captor. Midu nurses Dae-soo back to health at her apartment. Once he recovers, he visits his old friend Ju-hwan, who now runs an internet cafe. Dae-soo plays the prison tape for him, but Ju-hwan does not recognize the voice. However, he helps trace the online user Evergreen, who had been chatting with Midu. They initiate a chat with Evergreen. The person taunts Dae-soo, congratulating him on his wife's murder case being dismissed. The user continues to provoke him, then goes silent. Suspicious and agitated, Dae-soo returns home and accuses Midu of working with Evergreen. He becomes violent. At that moment, Ju-hwan calls with new information. He has tracked Evergreen's account to an apartment in the building across the street from Midu's. Dae-soo rushes over and finds a unit. Inside, he finally meets his captor, a wealthy and calm man named Lee Woo-jin, and his silent bodyguard, Mr. Han. Dae-soo tries to attack, but is overpowered by Mr. Han. Woo-jin warns Dae-soo that killing him will only prevent him from learning the reason for his imprisonment. Woo-jin reveals he has a pacemaker installed and threatens to activate it if Dae-soo tries to torture him. He then proposes a game. Dae-soo has 5 days to discover the truth. If he succeeds, Woo-jin will kill himself. If he fails, Midu will die on July 5th. As Woo-jin leaves, he casually mentions that Dae-soo left his door unlocked. Dae-soo races back to Midu's apartment. Inside, he finds Mr. Park and his gang, who have tied up Midu and assaulted her. Dae-soo is beaten and nearly tortured the same way he tortured Mr. Park. But Mr. Han arrives and offers Mr. Park a suitcase full of money in exchange for leaving. Mr. Park accepts and leaves. Dae-soo threatens to cut off his hand if he ever sees him again. Dae-soo and Midu leave the apartment together. While traveling, they grow emotionally closer. That night, Midu tells Dae-soo she is ready. They make love. Later, both are gassed while asleep. When they awaken, they find a package in the room. Inside the package is Mr. Park's severed hand. Dae-soo realizes that Woo-jin is monitoring him. They search for surveillance devices and find a wire hidden in one of his shoes. The next day, with Midu's help, Dae-soo traces Evergreen to his old high school. There, he finds a record of Woo-jin, who was once a fellow student. Dae-soo calls Ju-hwan, who confirms it. Ju-hwan also reveals that Woo-jin had a sister who was rumored to be promiscuous and later committed suicide. Woo-jin, now cut off from spying on Dae-soo, visits Ju-hwan's internet cafe. Enraged by what Ju-hwan says about his sister, he beats him to death while Dae-soo listens helplessly over the phone. Believing that Woo-jin's revenge is connected to his sister's death, Dae-soo searches for more information. He tracks down Mr. Park, who is now cooperative after losing his hand. Dae-soo arranges for Midu to be held at his old prison to protect her from Woo-jin. Mr. Park also confirms that Dae-soo was repeatedly hypnotized during his imprisonment. Continuing his investigation, Dae-soo finds a former classmate and asks about Woo-jin and his sister, Lee Soo-ah. The woman recalls that Soo-ah was rumored to be pregnant and that the gossip spread quickly. She believed Ju-hwan started the rumors, but Dae-soo realizes that he was actually the source. A memory returns. One day, while still in school, Dae-soo had witnessed Woo-jin and Soo-ah having a sexual encounter. Unaware they were siblings, he casually mentioned what he saw to a friend. Shortly after, he transferred to a school in Seoul. The gossip spread, evolving into rumors of incest and pregnancy. Eventually, Soo-ah committed suicide by jumping from a dam on July 5th. Dae-soo finally understands the meaning behind Woo-jin's earlier clue. A grain of sand and a rock both sink in water with the same speed. His careless comment, though small, had devastating consequences. Dae-soo tracks down Woo-jin's penthouse and confronts him. He recounts the entire story and accuses Woo-jin of repressing guilt over Soo-ah's death. He implies Woo-jin may have killed his sister to avoid shame. Woo-jin says nothing, but shows Dae-soo a photo of Soo-ah at the dam, taken moments before she jumped. He was present, but did not stop her. Then Woo-jin unveils the real plan. He hands Dae-soo a photo album. At first, it contains pictures of Woo-jin's family, then images of a young girl growing. As Dae-soo flips through, he recognizes the girl. It's Midu. Midu is Dae-soo's daughter. Woojin reveals he orchestrated every detail. He raised Midu after Dae-soo's disappearance, waited until she was an adult, and used hypnosis to guide both her and Dae-soo into falling in love. 15 years of imprisonment ensured that Dae-soo would not recognize her. At the same time, Midu finds the angel wings Dae-soo once gave her as a child. She begins to suspect the truth. Dae-soo is consumed by horror and rage. He attacks Mr. Han, but despite being stabbed multiple times, Han overpowers him. Woojin shoots and kills Mr. Han to protect himself. Woojin explains that Mr. Park never stopped working for him. In exchange for taking the blame and losing his hand, Mr. Park was given ownership of the private prison. He is now, with Midu, carrying a similar photo album that will reveal her identity. Dae-soo begs Woojin not to let Midu learn the truth. In desperation, he drops to his knees, barks like a dog, and pleads. He tells Woojin he will do anything. Then, to prove he will never speak again, he grabs scissors and cuts off his own tongue. Woojin watches silently, appearing moved. He holds a handkerchief over his mouth. For a moment, it seems as though he is crying, but when he lowers the cloth, he is smiling. He has gotten his revenge. With his mission complete, Woojin decides to spare Midu. He gives Dae-soo a remote switch, which Dae-soo assumes controls Woojin's pacemaker. Woojin enters the elevator and leaves. Alone in the penthouse, Dae-soo presses the button. Instead of stopping Woojin's heart, it triggers a tape recording, the sound of Dae-soo and Midu together. As the recording plays, Woojin rides the elevator down. His thoughts return to the day of his sister's death. He had tried to hold on to her at the edge of the dam, but she asked him to let go. She said she regretted nothing and knew he was afraid. He released her hand and she fell. Back in the present, Woojin sits alone in the elevator. He realizes that even after all his carefully planned revenge, his pain remains. He raises a gun to his head, cocks it, and pulls the trigger. Time passes. In a snowy forest, Dae-soo meets with a hypnotist who once worked for Woojin. Since he can no longer speak, he has written her a letter. In it, he asks her to erase the truth from his mind. The final sentence reads, "Even though I'm no more than a beast, don't I, too, have the right to live?" The same words spoken to him by the suicidal man on the rooftop. The hypnotist agrees to help. She instructs Dae-soo to return his mind to Woojin's penthouse. Under hypnosis, she tells him to separate into two versions of himself, one who remembers the secret and one who does not. As the hypnotist speaks, Dae-soo sees his reflection in the window. One version, the beast, wears a grim expression and stands silently. The other, the ignorant Dae-soo, mourns as he loses a part of himself. The hypnotist tells him that the beast will walk away, aging with each step and eventually die. The beast remains still, unwilling to leave. The music ends. The tape finishes playing. The screen turns black. Dae-soo awakens alone in the snow. The hypnotist is gone, disoriented and dazed. He rises and walks through the frozen landscape. Eventually, he finds Midu. She smiles and embraces him. Holding him closely, she whispers, "I love you." Dae-soo begins to smile. Then his expression slowly shifts into a twisted, tortured grimace.